Hello, friends, and welcome to the Honeycast. I want to talk about something today that I bet is going to shock you. It is how to plan for failure. You're like, what, Coach Kris? I don't want to fail. That's the problem. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. That's why I'm signing up for this program. That's why I want to lose weight. I don't want to fail. I want to succeed. But what I want to talk about is this: failing is part of the process. I really don't think there's anything such called failure, except if you quit. I do believe that would be ultimate failure. But if you look at your failures as stepping stones to reach your goals, you will most likely get there. It's shifting your mindset around the thought about failure. And this is one of the things that I see when I'm on a discovery call with somebody, especially with my longer program, where people are like, I don't know if I can show up for myself. I don't know if I'll do this. I haven't been able to do it before. Why would I do it now? I have these conversations about fear of failure. They don't really know that they're afraid to fail when we're on the call and I'm saying, oh, hey, here is this 6-month program where I'm going to teach you how to create your fat loss menu. I'm going to show you exactly what to eat, how to eat. I'm going to tell you what exercises to do and what you need to do for your hormones. And you just show up. You just show up and be committed. And you're going to learn how to handle the obstacles. You're going to learn. We're going to do this together. I love to paint that picture of why is it different now? Because you want to make peace with failing and you want to learn how to fail well. We want to plan for your failure. So this is one of the teachings that I have in my Feminine Freedom program because I want you to be free from the fear of failure. So we are going to plan for your failure. How many times have you started a diet, tried really hard, stayed on it for a couple of weeks or months, got derailed, gained it all back plus more, and then wondered to yourself if you're ever going to get it? Do you ever know what went wrong? Do you know what thoughts led you to give up, or should I say, give in to the temptation at hand? So let's just talk a little bit about what is failure. And so this is what the dictionary says: the omission of expected or required action. Isn't that interesting? I never would have put it in those terms. But failure is basically not meeting your own expectations. That really doesn't sound so bad until you look at what you make it mean when you fail. What do you make it mean? What are the thoughts that you think to yourself or the things you say to yourself? Do you make it mean that you are a big loser and that you'll never get it right? Do you shame yourself, condemn yourself, punish yourself? Or do you look at it as an opportunity to figure something out? Maybe find the missing or required action that is needed to get you to your destination. What if you're just like, failure, it's just a required action that I've omitted or that I need to figure out, and I can figure it out. But first, let's take a look at why we fail. I'm going to give you 6 reasons, and there are more. First is the perfectionistic thinking. It's got to be perfect. I cannot tell you this thought. I feel like I lived this thought for so many years. I had to give up trying to be perfect. It just about killed me as a wife, as a homeschool mother, as a health coach, in my health journey and weight loss journey, having to do things perfectly, so much pressure. Number 2, the all or nothing. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just have to be all in or I'm not all in. Third, fear of failure. 4, avoiding the uncomfortable. This is a big one. I realize, and I know we all avoid pain. Our brain is designed to avoid pain and seek pleasure. We are just human beings with that makeup. I will say, I do think there are some people who are a little bit more pain intolerant and really avoid pain on a high level. And I would say I might fall into that category. I didn't realize the things I was avoiding because I just didn't want the pain. Getting comfortable with pain was something that I had to learn. And I have a story about that, but I think I will wait and share that in a little bit. Emotional and stress eating. We are eating our feelings. Oh, we need to learn how to feel our feelings and eat food separately. Food is not the answer. It is not going to take the stress away. It's going to add more stress. And the last reason, or at least the sixth reason why we fail, is we are unprepared. And this is something I see a lot with women that are coming into my tribe, my group coaching, women that are coming into my different programs. They are overwhelmed, they are busy, they do not know how to prepare for themselves. It feels too hard. And what I love to do is to simplify that. What is it that you need to do to show up for yourself well this week? What if you just wrote down two things? What is it? What are the two things you need to do to prepare? For one, I'll just give you an example. So Ruth, in my Feminine Freedom program, she is now starting to exercise and was having a hard time doing that. And so on a coaching call, we talk through, okay, we are going to get prepared for ourselves. I know this sounds step by step, but I'm telling you, it's a game changer. And this is how I started being successful with exercise. Number one, you are going to get ready for yourself the night before. You are going to pick out your video that you're going to do if you're at home, or if you're going to the gym, you're going to pick out the time that you're going to go. You are going to lay out your workout clothes. You are going to get your weights ready if you're at home. You are going to get your towel and your water ready ahead of time, your essentials if you're using those. If you're going to the gym, you're going to jot out your exercise if you haven't already done that. You're going to get your music ready. That way, when you wake up in the morning, all you have to do is put those shoes on and show up. Now, here's one little key. Don't ask yourself if you want to do it or not. You never are going to want to do it, but avoid that question. Don't ask yourself that. So these reasons, I'm really not trying to be a downer or point to negativity. But what I want to do is I want you to look at the patterns that are not serving you that you can change, so that you can choose a lifestyle where you are characterized by mostly choosing on-plan items, and you can proactively meet the obstacles that arise head on. I know this because I've been able to do this over the years with knowledge and practice, and I'm going to tell you it didn't happen overnight. Vision is governing. Knowledge is powerful. Practice is paramount, and kindness is king. What do I mean? Be kind to yourself. When you practice and you fail, give yourself the grace and you get back on in 3 hours. Vision will govern you. So if you allow your vision to show up committed, for that to be your guardrail, it is going to help you make better choices. Do you see yourself understanding and implementing the plan and learning and growing as you go? Or do you see yourself as off on, off on, off on? What is your compelling reason that you even want to be on plan and lose weight or feel better? Let's get to our reason why, and let's create a vision from that. And that way, every time you have a setback, you go back to your vision. What is your vision for yourself? I would love for you to look at the future self, your future self. What is she doing? What is she wearing? What is she saying? How is she succeeding in her life? Envision that for yourself. It's very powerful. If you can't envision it, how can you get there? Even if it's by faith, even if it's just like an inkling of faith, see yourself showing up for yourself, for your own health journey. So let's get real. I want you to begin to expect to fail, but I don't want you to get stuck there. I just want it to be a sure, that could happen, instead of that always happens. I'm never going to be able to get out of this pattern. We want to expect that we're going to be uncomfortable sometimes, that we're going to not make the best choices all the time, that sometimes your life will get crazy and the best you can is not the best. You want to expect that it's going to take time, not a week, not a month, maybe not even 6 months, to create the new habits of healthy eating and healthy thoughts. I want you to be open to just allowing confusion and overwhelm to be there, yet still taking action. Do you know that you can do that? You can be like, hey, confusion, hey, overwhelmed, come along with me. Let's just do the next thing. That's how easy it can be. So we're going to expect that it's going to take a little longer, and that's okay because we want it to stick. We don't want the fast weight loss and the fast track when it's not going to serve us. It's hard to attain anyway, especially in midlife, and a lot of times it backfires. So knowledge is powerful. Knowing your patterns of failure is paramount. What leads you to go off plan? What are your triggers? What's your brain telling you about you and about healthy eating or your past failures? Becoming aware is the first step. When you find these little foxes that spoil the vine, you can begin addressing them with truth thoughts and proactive decisions ahead of time. Find the things that keep you from succeeding. Did I mention them before? If that's you, take a little time, write them down. What is one thing that you can do differently? Just one thing. One thing can be a game changer. And then we practice. We practice the one thing. Maybe for you, the one thing is it's a non negotiable. When I go off plan in 3 hours, I'm getting back on. Maybe that's the one thing you're going to work on. I call it non negotiable because there's no negotiating with myself. No, Kris, I committed to myself. Whenever I go off plan in 3 hours, I'm going to get back on. I'm not going to listen to the thought, well, you went ahead and you ate that, so you might as well just eat the rest of the Oreos or the whatever. No, it's a non-negotiable. I'm not even negotiating. I'm getting back on plan in 3 hours. And you practice that. Are you going to do it perfectly? Absolutely not. But if you are shooting for at least 80%, you're going to get at least halfway, if not 80% there, as opposed to 0% if you're shooting for that perfection. Those 1% increase changes in behavior and what you're putting into your body that's positive and on plan, it makes a difference. You are investing in your health bank account. So the things that you're putting in that you say, well, this really doesn't count, it does count. And what if you're putting in something that maybe isn't the best and your brain is telling you, oh, this little French fry or two won't be a big deal. This hamburger from Dairy Queen, oh, that's not that big of a deal. Or this, bag of chips, not a big deal, not going to count. It does count. And we want to tell ourselves the truth. And that's another practice that you can do. If you find yourself telling yourself excuses, I'll start Monday, or I've always been this way, those are excuses. Let's tell ourselves the truth. Let's practice telling yourself the truth. Just one little area in your life. These are the things we work on when I'm coaching with you, is I find these little foxes and then we work on them together. And it's not that hard. A lot of times we're just not aware. It's not your fault. You just don't know what to do. And you don't have the tools to overcome these type of mindset blockages. And that's what you can learn. That's the awesome thing, is you can learn a new way. So if you are constantly failing and feeling like a failure, we can turn that around. Next, I want to say kindness is king. I used to beat up on myself. I would punish myself. I would eat, I would overeat, I would eat off plan. Actually, this was actually before Trim Healthy, but back in my high school days, college days, and even before Trim Healthy, I had a terrible sugar addiction and I could not eat it. If it were in my house, I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning eating it. I'm eating it in the morning. I'm eating it anytime. It was junky food. We're not even talking about like a homemade pie or whatever. I'm talking about it's just sugar. And I would overdo the sugar. Then because I would overdo the sugar, I'd be like, well, who cares now what I'm eating? So I'd eat the white flour and things in a package and not really, never even thought about protein back then at all. And I would just really sort of abuse my body with food. Then what I would do is I would swear off. I'm not doing that again. And then I would go do things like, when I was in college, we lived, I went to University of Tennessee. South Carrick was where I lived for the first year. I literally, like 11 o'clock at night, would go up and down the stairs. I'd make myself run up and down the stairs 10 times. I would get up at 5 in the morning and go for a 4-mile run. And there's nothing wrong with these things. It's just the way that I was in a toxic relationship with food, I was punishing myself. So I'd overindulge or indulge, and then I would punish myself. And then as I grew and as I've aged, and I've been in the health industry for a long time and a personal trainer, and I've learned, a lot. And I was able to stay making better decisions, still addicted to sugar. And that's another podcast because I did break free from that. But I still would punish myself and I would just really hate on myself and feel bad. And I'd go in my closet and try on all this clothes that I know they're too small just to make me feel bad. And I had some other behaviors like that as well, that just really weren't helpful. And I'll never forget this one season in my life. And at this point in time, I had been on play and Trim Healthy gave me so much food freedom. Like I began experiencing food freedom with Trim Healthy, but I think I was still I was keeping myself on the hook. And I'm not talking about free for all, everything you do, you forgive yourself and move on. Although I don't think that's a bad way to operate. However, punishment does not really drive us to positive action. Kindness and grace and self-compassion, and it actually does. And so I was going through this really hard season. I was in perimenopause. Hormones were whacked to the hill. I had not found what to do with Trim Healthy yet. I had not figured out what to do with my hormones. My best friend was going through cancer and ended up passing away. And I went through all of that with her, was with her in hospice. I had a couple of teenagers really struggling at the time. I mean, I was just in fear and like fight or flight and sad. And it was just a really rough season. And I was pretty much still eating on plan and I wasn't abusing my body with food or anything like that, but I really wasn't taking good care of myself. And I definitely wasn't emotionally taking care of myself, which will lead you to be a better person to yourself if you do that, honestly. How many of you aren't even treating yourself well, or you're not taking care of yourself, and why? That's a whole nother podcast. We'll talk about that another time. But for now, back to my story. So I had either, eaten off plan or just really wasn't treating myself well. And I remember my friend who was going through chemo and all kinds of stuff. And I mean, she would be having a freak out moment, and she was really struggling with parenting her 6 kids. She was sick from the bed. A lot of stuff was going on in her household that was just out of control, honestly, and she couldn't do anything about it. And she would wake up in the night, or we would have conversations, and she was just so upset about it. And she had treated some people, just in ways that weren't good because she just was not okay. She just wasn't okay all around. And I remember being with her in that. And she had friends that actually left her because of some of the decisions that she was making. And I decided, that's not the type of friend that I am. And I will tell you the truth in love. But what I remember so much was that giving her the grace and the kindness, because she was stuck. She was actually dying. We didn't really know that at the time because we were just believing for her health. And she was messed up. She had some messed up things going on in her life. And I just remember, deciding I'm just going to love her, and I'm going to give her kindness. I'm going to forgive her for these things, that haven't really been right. And I'm going to decide to just be gracious to her. And so I really made, and so I would just speak life into her no matter what. I was just speaking life, speaking life, speaking life. And fast forward, something was going on, and I was so depressed. I was crying. I was just having such a hard time. I was so worried about my teenagers. I know that I wasn't showing up well at all. How can you expect yourself to show up well when you are a basket case, right? When you're a messed up human being in a situation, doing the best you can. And I remember hearing just sort of in my spirit, I want you to treat yourself like you treated your dying best friend. Wow, that was powerful. I mean, I could not unhear that, and I almost couldn't give myself that type of love. It's taken practice, you guys. Practice, practice, practice. I began doing that. Then I began coaching other women, and I would hear them the same thing. They're just down and out and down on themselves and not showing up like they want to. And they feel like their life is a mess. Their hormones are a mess, and they hate themselves when they look in the mirror. I'm like, sister friend, when are we going to start taking care of you? How about you start treating yourself well and kind and loving? It does change everything. It really does. If you don't think it affects that scale, you're wrong. If you don't think it affects your health, you are wrong. It affects everything. So, with that being said, that's my last point. Kindness, graciousness to yourself, not telling yourself excuses. So, here are some other proactive action steps that I want to leave you with. Plan for your weakness. What are the potential pitfalls for you? How can you plan or avoid or respond to these obstacles? Think a little bit of ahead, you guys. I promise you, you will thank yourself. Adjust your expectations, like we talked about. Rehearse your compelling reason daily. Why are you doing this? How about I love me? Even if you don't feel like that, how about you declare that I love me, I'm doing this because I love me, and my kids love me, my other people love me, I need to be the best me. How about that? How about be kind and compassionate when you do fail? And when you fall off the wagon, when you do something that you're not happy about, shake off the shame, get to the root of why. Do not purge or restrict. This makes things even worse. And get back on it. Get back on it ASAP. Start with that next meal. Start with that next, hey, I forgive you. Let's move on, girl. Let's make a better decision. You can do this. Let's tell ourselves a new story.